¿Y cuánto tiempo tiene así?
30 al año. Acuérdate de que cuando viniste tú.
No, pero cerrada.
No, pero tiraba poquito. Ahorita está tirando más. Acuérdate.
The landlord drilled a hole during the time that she was in here and ran an extension cord that connected to this outlet here. So right now she owes about $1,000.
So she owes $1,100 on a electric bill?
Yes. ¿Usted se queja sobre las cosas que pasan, que necesitan arreglo en la unidad?
No, lo que dice que si uno quiere, que si no quiere, busca.
Yeah, she does, and she'll tell her, well, if you don't like it, you can move.
The sheriff brought this morning. He woke me up and knocked at my door, and he said, "This is the summons." At 6:45,
So
he
he
was at my
paid
door.
to serve you.
He said, "Oh, we don't want you here. We're tired. You complain. You're this and that. Why don't you just leave?" You know, only reason why I put up with you is because you had a disabled son, and I just broke into tears because I thought that was horrible.
I don't make 3 times $900, but I'll guarantee you my rent before I eat.
Yeah.
You know, so thanks. That'll really
All right, hey, take care, okay?
Thanks a lot.
That tenant I look at, I see my parents. Just seeing the lady go, yeah, pretty much, like there's nothing I can do. I fight back, I'm gonna end up in the streets. And it's like, it's reality.
This is the original deed to this whole development, 252 units. No lot in said tract shall at any time be lived upon by a person whose blood is not entirely that of the Caucasian race. And for the purpose of this paragraph, no Japanese, Chinese, Mexican, Hindu, or any person of the Ethiopian, Indian, or Mongolian races shall be deemed to be a Caucasian. As a Mexican American, I would have been forbidden from purchasing this house. It's as if the Jim Crow signs for water fountains of blacks only and whites only were still out there, and people just said, ignore the signs. You can use either water fountain. It's fine. Ignore the signs. These documents are there. We can ignore them, which is what we're doing, or we can get rid of them.
It's critical to realize that the United States was actually founded on someone else's property. Manifest Destiny, when people moved from the eastern seaboard across the Midwest and on through the western United States to California, really had underneath it the idea that just because somebody lived there, if they were not utilizing the property in its highest and best use, that therefore that property could be taken. I mean, that's the justification for taking land from Native Americans, that somehow that land is being underutilized.
When you look back after the Mexican-American War, the Land Act of 1851 raised the standard for documentation and allowed all kinds of challenges to the claims that people had on land, pushing Native Californians, Mexican Californians off their land. And that kind of set a precedent in California for essentially challenging the rights of people of color to own property.
The early 1900s is when we start seeing the rise of the real estate industry in the United States. Developers are starting to learn how to build large-scale developments. And in the development of all of these new subdivisions, the real estate industry starts using race covenants to ensure that there's a distance between white and black populations. Then you start seeing the rise of things like a code of ethics, The Real Estate Code of Ethics was designed to bring uniformity to how realtors approach selling property across the United States. But what it had in it is that you couldn't introduce people from a different ethnic or racial class that would be detrimental to the property values of others. Once we made that connection between value and race, then it was very easy to justify anything because it was no longer a moral issue, it was a financial issue.